This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Okay, so this is the most expensive guitar that I've actually bought. I bought it specifically to review it for the channel, and you see yesterday's video, like my overriding kind of feeling was sort of one of disappointment, and this has happened at least one other time, and that was also with an expensive guitar, right? A PRS DGT wood library. I think I paid something like 2,600 for it, 2,800, something like that. And similarly with that guitar, I kind of thought, well, this to me doesn't feel like a good way that I've spent my money here. I think what it's highlighted to me is like the importance of value, and I think value seems to be the thing that is missing sometimes when you buy something that's like a limited edition, or you know, some sort of kind of signature build type thing where, I don't know, basically they're trying to build in this idea of scarcity, whereas actually this thing is more or less not an uncommon guitar, is it? Because it's a Les Paul standard faded 50s with a fairly limited set of pickups in it. And the other thing that I find it difficult to escape is the idea that basically this doesn't feel like a bargain. And there are other guitars that I kind of had that impression of, like that Epiphone Lazarus as well was one of these guitars where perception for me was certainly, because I think I paid like 900 and something for that, which was more than it would have been new at the time, but it had some upgrades, you know, like some bare knuckle mules put in it and stuff. But I didn't get the same feeling from that, and I don't know whether it's just because I'm cheap or whether there's something to this. So this idea like that if you bought a guitar, for it to live up to its expectations, in some ways it either has to be actually perfect, you know, so like that PRS DGT SE, or, you know, what else have I bought that's expensive? Maybe I'm just not a guy that's into that expensive gear. I mean, I bought some K-lines second-hand for sort of the £1,600 mark and been really impressed with those. Those have not disappointed me at all. My favourite guitar in the world, this K-line I bought for like £850, which now is an incredible bargain, considering, you know, they'd be easily £1,600 on the used market is what they seem to go for these days, and the new prices have gone up a bit. But I don't really like the memory of how much it cost and that it was at one point a bargain doesn't really factor into why I grab this pretty much every day. Just is an added benefit. So I don't know, maybe I'm just being fussy with the Gibson, or is there something to the idea that if you spend like over a month, 2 months wages on a guitar, that you'd expect it to be like necessarily perfect? And I kind of always, you know, you see on YouTube quite a lot about like Gibson QC and people pointing out flaws and stuff. And initially, having not seen some of the more modern kind of Gibson work, you think, is this just the thing that people are doing because it's the thing that people talk about? And then you think, right, well, now that I've actually bought a piece of gear that is kind of £3,000, and then you start to look at things with a bit of a magnifying glass, and you think, well, this isn't really, I don't know, doesn't look like what a £3,000 guitar should look like up close. I think I can sort of sympathise a bit with that. So I'd be interested to know your most expensive bits of gear that you've bought. Is there anything that you don't regret? For me, yeah, I think that it tops off at around that sort of £1,600 mark, and it's the second-hand K-Line Springfields that I bought. I've been really impressed with those and don't regret them for a second. I sold the British Racist green one to David Beebe, so that's living near Leeds now. But again, those are the most expensive things that I don't regret at all. But I think for me, having been someone who grew up on a farm and stuff, it does matter whether something is kind of good value or not. And I think that's probably why I kind of like some of this stuff, like the Sire stuff or the FGN stuff or some of the SE stuff. You know, if it's good stuff and it's a really good price, then I kind of like that idea of being able to share that and say, well, this is stuff that represents good value. And I don't necessarily think that Fender and Gibson and like the expensive PRS stuff necessarily tickles that kind of itch. I guess Tokai as well for me is a thing where it's like a fantastically built thing with no QC flaws, where the price is reasonable and you think I'm kind of getting a lot for my money here. What prompted this thinking was that Martin Taylor was talking about an ES175 in an interview that he bought for $375, and then he immediately, like the day after, had buyer's remorse and thought, why did I buy that, and why did I buy a red guitar? Yeah, just made me think. Talking of buyer's remorse or Martin Taylor or bargains, TrueFire sponsored the channel, and I managed to get them to give me an all-access code, so you could use the code JNC100 to get $100 off their all-access pass, which basically means that you could pay $99 for access to their whole catalogue for a year, I think, which is really good value. I think, you know, on par with something that you pay for something like Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, Spotify. And I think there's some really great stuff on there that could inspire some kind of practice sessions in your playing and stuff. Martin Taylor's got a really great course on there if you're into jazz, sort of building up arrangements from the bottom up. Andy Timmons has some incredible stuff on there, you know, breaking down licks, going through his rig. Jerome Bonamas has got some great stuff on there, going through his rig and playing excerpts of songs and stuff that he's put together for the course. Andy Wood as well has got some really great stuff on there. Tim Miller has got a kind of game-changing way of looking at arpeggios and building arpeggios. There's loads of great stuff on there. Alan Hines, Robin Ford, and all access passes are, I think, the best way to get in there and sort of soak in some of that stuff that could really inspire you, and, you know, dip in and out of bits and pieces and kind of inspire some practice sessions. So JNC100 is the code to get $100 off of the all access membership. As well, there's the JNC40 if you just want to buy like one course or two at a time or whatever. You get 40% off of any of their individual courses in that way. Thank you to TrueFire for sponsoring the channel. I'll catch you in another video soon. Here's some playing with the Lazarus, which I still think is a really, really great guitar, regardless of price. I think it beats my Gibson Les Paul standard that I've got. I do think the Greenie, I think, sounds and plays a little bit better than that one, but it is heavier, doesn't have long tenon. I think it looks better as well, actually, but isn't as good value. Does that matter? I don't know. Cheers.